have full hands, it can sometimes be tough to get the hand management down pat. But I'm not going to judge it till I see it.
Because he's dropped the Spectral Sights for it, which can often just get stuck as 2-mana draw 1. So he's decided that a bad 3-mana draw 2 is better than a 2-mana draw 1 that is often stuck in the middle of your hand somewhere.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
You tend to just cycle that card, right?
Yeah, very true. Starting off, Misael, I like his keep. He kept their Aug Merchant and Skull. Even though Skull was in an outcast position, their Aug Merchant an easy card to dump. If he picked up another easy card to dump, he would have been cooking. But picked up Il'gynoth, which is pretty much the only card that you can't dump.
Yes.
Because it's the win condition. Literally every card in the deck, because of the redundancy of spell damage and combo pieces you can get out of your hands. That is very brutal, because that Skull is going to be isolated for some time. And the longer you have to wait against Spell Mage, the worse things become. And this is interesting. A coin just to brain freeze a 2-1 against OTK Demon Hunter. This is so Trunks can play one of these 2-drops next turn and not have it be contested. I like where his head's at.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, the chip damage is surprisingly relevant in the Demon Hunter. If you get them down below 24, it makes your chance of killing so much higher. But this Il'gynoth, I can't stress enough what TJ just said about it's in the wrong place. The skull is so key to everything. It's not just a card draw. Oh dear! It's the reductions that matter as much as the card draw, and you can't combo without the reductions very easily. And now he's just going to have to work from the right the whole game. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah, this is going to be quite rough. He's going to have to pretty much just play every card on top. One thing he does have going for him is that maybe if he survives long enough, he could just cast Skull for 6 and already has Il'gynoth in the hand. I don't know. I'm just trying to find the silver lining for him in this position, but it's looking kind of rough. One thing that he has going for him is that there was no Enchantress Flow played for Trunks, so he's going to have to play some good old straight-up Hearthstone, playing his cards for full cost. Oh, yeah. The horror.
So what he could do is play the Skull for 6, that's kind of forced, into maybe an Illidari Studies, and then hit another Skull, and then he could outcast a Skull that way. That might be an escape route here.
That could be, yeah.
A lot of other things seem really too slow to me.
I would agree.
That's that then. Let's watch what happens. Acrobatic's going to get him some more cards.
Yeah, we're done here. Analysis given.
We've analysis. Just go and watch it now. Like, we're off.
Yep.
Nice to have an afternoon off.
And again, just playing cards as they come into hand. I mean, we're looking at a potential kill if you can get a little bit more chip damage in, but it's not significant enough since nothing is discounted. It have to be Il'gynoth double Moarg. He doesn't play any discounts for the Moarg, so doesn't play the Raging Fellscream. Oh,
Warlock. That's even better analysis than we've been giving so far. I agree entirely. Misael should be able to deal with minions for a while and stay alive. That is another of the things that's going on while he waits for... I think he is just waiting for Illidari Studies. I think that's kind of the only out. Or I guess wait to get to 10 mana. That's the other thing. If you get to 10 mana, maybe he can cobble together a lethal that way.
Yeah, but it would be quite difficult.
He'd need a Warblade to be in play and chip away maybe 6 of this health and just keep himself alive with a Warblade, and then he'd need the Mage to have no Mage cards, would be a good start, and not Jandis would be another good thing.
The stealth one, and this, it doesn't really matter in this case because the wide board clears are really going to be limited to Immolation Aura, in which case you'd actually prefer to have the higher health minion, though maybe protecting it from the hero power could be quite valuable.
Trunks actually just couldn't attack there because he didn't want to overdraw particularly. It's one of the decks that does get through all of its cards, so... Didn't want to reveal the stealth, didn't want to overdraw. Didn't want to do 5 damage, apparently.
Impatient.
Which has allowed quite a lot to go on this turn.
So forced to kind of have to remove some things here, but is making some headway, right? We talked about the possibility of doing a combo on turn 10, but it would have to involve, with no discounts, like double Fellscream Blast, right? Is Il'gynoth Morg, double Fellscream, or Il'gynoth Bloodbage Thalnos Morg, double Fellscream Blast, which is not a very promising prospect here.
How about if he can draw the Warblades really quickly? You can get Moarg, Arcanist, I-Beam, unless that's both I-Beams gone now. He's definitely used at least one. The 20.
He's at least one. He's used both I-Beams, actually.
Okay, so that's unfortunate. Because that's a way of doing 20, if you can sneak some damage in. I guess it's 40 with triple Moarg.
What to do?
Arcanist,
Runs out on me.
I-Beam. If you can find one from the studies. Getting a bit convoluted, and his opponent's killing him.
Yes. I honestly don't know what the play is. He still needs 2 more turns in order to be able to get this combo. The skull positions were super awkward. Trunks does have burn in hand already, though it is full cost. We'll need to find a turn to mask and then fireball, so I think there's still some time.
I feel like he could have just skulled on one of these turns, probably this one, where just to draw some cards. Maybe he's trying to make a bit of space and stay alive. I guess he's gaining quite a lot of health.
I have so much in
Tough.
store for you.
It's a tough deck when it's going your way, let alone when it's not going your way.
Yeah. He's able to clear the board, though, holds on to the combo pieces that he needs to hold on to, and that's pretty much his hand. His hand is limited to those combo pieces. There's just no way... Yeah, there's just no way for him to outcast the skull.
Yeah, he's going to have to just play it at some point. This might buy him the time to have a chance to play it, but I mean, Mask is going to destroy him. That's a good break for him, though. Means that Trunks now has to take care of this Moarg, because bad things definitely can happen if you leave that up.
Yeah, well, it does take double the damage from the mask, but it'll still take 3 hits in order to kill it. So there's essentially 5 hits worth of health on the board for mask, which is only pushing 5 to face, which just doesn't seem worth it. Still no more burn picked up for Trunks. Still no Enchantress Flow picked up for Trunks. Combustion and ping, that doesn't feel particularly great.
Yeah, we've been concentrating on Mizhel's bad hand, but somehow Trunks hasn't got a winning hand yet out of it.
Yeah, which sometimes happens with Mage when they have to play straight up and they can't throw their removal spells into minions to try and dump their hand because Tiki Demon Hunter's just not playing minions.
All right, well,
so talent. That is, he can play everything with 1 Moarg, so +2 spell damage. It's not quite enough, right? Because if he +2 spell damage, 3, it'd be doubled to 6, so it'd be 18 from the Fellscream Blast, and then he gets to push 2 from the Murloc, so it's 20 damage.
I want to skull, find the weapon, and hit them with the weapon this turn and have lethal next turn.
Okay, double Fellscream Blast. That's what he needs. Il'gynoth, Talented Arcanist, Moarg, and Fellscream Blast. Fellscream Blast.
Are they the targets?
It's awkward though. It's awkward because there's no targets. If his 2 1/1 survive, then he goes Il'gynoth, Moarg, Fellscream Blast on the 2 1/1s. which would only be 4 damage, but then Talented Arcanist Fellscream Blast on his other minions would be the 18, so it'd be 22. That's if his minions live. Ah, but he's worried about dying.
Yeah, it's all a mess. Now he's stayed alive to buy himself some more time, which I don't mind, actually. Or do I? Maybe I do mind it.
Because there's no way you just out-heal
Right, yeah.
the damage, right? That's not a thing.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Now, you needed Trunks to make a mistake and leave up a minion or something there, and then you had a chance. But this way, you never get it done, I don't think. Unless he's got an out that we're missing.
Fellscream Blast off the top. Oh no, you used the Fellscream Blast last turn.
Yeah, he's not. He's out of Fellscreams. He's out of I-beams. He can find another I-beam because he hasn't used a studies yet, I think. That's not it.
Nope. And there's plenty of damage from him. Needs to find Eldrazi Warblades. Okay. Then is it still enough? This is only a net 1 heal. And there's plenty of damage with Fireball, Pegasus Blast, and Ping. I believe that's exactly 12 damage. So it looks like Trunks is going to equalize the series here at 1-1. Oh yeah, there's Mask too. He can Fireball Mask. There's a discount on Fireball. Forgot about that. And I mean, that's the case of just sometimes the deck beats itself, right? I feel like that wasn't a terrible start for Misael. It just the not being able to outcast the skulls, having Il'gynoth in the far left, and then drawing skull after skull. So every card he had to play off the top, which was also card draw and card generation, was never able to get those discounted combo pieces. Had like lethal available if any of those pieces were discounted at multiple points in the game. It just didn't get there.
And like you highlighted, he's not playing the one Fell Screamer, which is kind of the emergency button that a lot of people play. He's gone for a different emergency button, which is the spell damage, which allows him to put things on the board early. It allows him to do bigger heals without worrying about having to find more spell damage later. But against that, it means that it's a little bit harder to combo when you get those horrible Il'gynoth on the left draws. And they're not that common, but when it happens, you're scrambling all the way. But I did feel here, when you highlighted this heal, his best chance was to just hope he didn't die next turn and try and get lucky for a lethal out of the blue with the double Fell Scream and the triple Moab.
Yep, but didn't work out at the end of the day. Was not able to just move quick enough, even without a discounted deck from Trunks, to find the lethal. But he did the best with what he could, I suppose. That one's just incredibly difficult to try and muster up. But still the OTK Demon Hunter left, as well as the Rogue. Trunks has Paladin and Rush Warrior as the 2 decks remaining for him.
He's going to be up against the Rush Warrior, so if he's queued the Demon Hunter again, I think he's in quite a good spot. Personally, I think that the Rush Warrior is just a little bit slow. It sort of becomes this massive rumbling snowball of a deck that will finish you off in time, but doesn't mean the Demon Hunter gets time to set up and quite often can clear one board for fairly low health minions at the start of the game and then get into it that way.
The one thing that it does have going for it is that it just makes big things each turn, right? It just keeps presenting a threat, and eventually that just gets there, which can sometimes be pretty difficult to deal with, especially if you're, looking at a situation where you have to use those big clears on the early boards, and they make a big 5-drop, big 6-drop, etc. So I'm not completely sold that Demon Hunter's favored in the matchup, just because sometimes you can put them in awkward positions. Mm-hmm. But we've seen how the Rush Warrior can draw sometimes, where they have this slow start where they're trying to build up. And that's where you can strike, as the OTK Demon Hunter.
You take a lot of the power, I feel, of the Rush Warrior away by not playing minions. It's like, I've got all these minions that trade, and suddenly you've just got these minions that you put on the board, and that's worth like an extra turn in its own right, because it's not Charge Warrior for a reason. Imagine how silly that would be.
Yeah, that'd be broken.
Be nutty. Oh, he's going to draw some cards this time, and he would dearly like to draw the good cards before the Organoth. That's kind of important right now.
Santa's just straight up card draw. Added benefit of being able to maybe use the Chaos Strikes to clear off some early boards. Meanwhile, from Trunks' perspective, these aren't the big things that you're looking for. These are the reactive things that you want, especially Alexstrasza in the opening hand. Blade Master Samuro is not really going to get anything going as well.
Yeah, the bumper cars, fantastic trading material, but terrible beatdown material. In fact, the whole hand is kind of that way. So, Michal should be in a good spot here with his card draw to start drawing into combo pieces and get it done.
Oh man, the stage dive after using athletic studies, which means there's not a great way to.
I love how we get to sit here and laugh at people's misfortune all day. It's great. I know, just use it.
Sure.
Just do it.
That buff could be a pretty big deal, though. That's the only issue.
So you're weighing up, do you want a buffed minion, or do you want to just do something next turn? It's quite a close call, actually, you're right, because buffed minions are rather tasty.
Ends up just floating a mana. Double jump.
I like it.
I mean, I guess that Skull is going to be outcast at some point, right? You're just dumping card draw. It's just going to be some time because of the acrobatics. I-beams will be discounted as well. You don't necessarily need those to win the game. And Trunks is showing that his opening is not very great, and it's not getting that much better. Conditioning is okay, but Claw Machine, it's got high attack, but low health.
Yeah. But it's a claw machine. You put it in your deck yourself, you deserve it to have high attack and low health.
Yep.
But yeah, I like the idea of getting the ordering that Michel's done here to get the skull in his hand before risking the card draw. So you're not taking this 1 in 3 that the Organoth appears before the skulls.
Yeah.
Gave himself much better odds, especially as he already had the I-beams, so hitting the skull was quite likely.
I wonder.
Okay, Makara, finally a card that does something. You call bumper cars dodgems in America?
No.
We call them dodgems. United Kingdom.
That's incredibly weird.
Because you're trying to dodge the other people, not bump into them.
All right. I mean, that makes a tiny bit of sense.
The whole idea of it is to not hit the other people, although I don't know anyone who's ever actually driven them that way. Everyone actually obviously just actively tries to hit each other because that's the fun. But yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, they're called bumper cars, not bump 'em cars.
Not bump 'em cars. New name. But he's not bumping anything with these cars because there's nothing to bump into.
You're paying for my
There's not. Just has to keep kind of making room in the hand. Dumps the Ethereal Aug Merchant.
Yeah,
one turn away from being able to get an activated skull, and Trunks is I mean, it's starting to ramp up, right? Like if he can stick some big minions and then just roll into a big an Alexstrasza on 9 for the kill, it could be what he needs.
A troublemaker is going to be very, very hard to deal with as well. It's not the sort of thing that is removed very easily by the Demon Hunter.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, there's Immolation Aura. So could go like I-Beam Talented Arcanist Immolation Aura. That would be a clear alter. Oh no, it'd be better. Nah, it wouldn't be better the other way around. I mean, it could be right. Immolation Aura, Talented Arcanist, and then I-Beam. I think the Morg is or you could part ways with the Morg a little bit more, but not really much health to heal because of Trunks' slow start. Okay, yeah, this makes sense. And then Morg.
Yep, don't be scared of getting rid of your Moargs.
Morg, then I-Beam.
There's more where they came from. Why you have philosophies in your deck. Well, it's not why you have philosophies. They're meant to make the combo easier, but it's part of the reason to have philosophies in your deck, so you can have more Moargs.
They will never catch me.
It looks like he's pretty torn on what he wants to do.
Yeah, this felt messy, although looking at it, I can't instantly tell you why it was messy, but it just looked a little bit unplanned.
So he was very hesitant to use his Immolation Aura. I think that was the biggest reason. He was trying to find some way to not have to use Immolation Aura. So that way he could have some type of backup plan in case the board got out of control one more time before it was time for him to draw cards, right? Next turn he's going to Skull, and then he wants to be able to have one full turn. But honestly, it looks like the way his hand is, he's only got 11 cards left in the deck. Skull could pick up just the cards to win. There's Il'gynoth.
Ooh.
Throwglaive, Philosophy. So, still a Fellscream Blast short.
This build feels like it's hedging quite heavily with the Throwglaive in as well. Kind of like having my Demon Hunter lineup to just be all-in combo stuff, and if they hit me, and ban the things that are trying to kill me.
Demons?
Yeah.
I guess in a tournament, you have to be a little bit more careful than that.
Just going to use both copies of Throwglaive here. Okay.
Well, still on 23 as well, but here comes the trouble. Trouble this turn, and Alex next turn is so much damage.
Well, he can't play Alex next turn, but he's threatening lethal just on board, right?
Oh, yeah. And I don't know how you deal with a troublemaker and still have anything left. I think the answer is you don't, so you have to just go for it and hope to find a way to cobble together a victory later on. This is a situation where you're just trying to survive for the time being, and sometimes you don't even try and plan how you win from here. You just plan how not to die and hope it works out.
I grow impatient.
Well, Talented Arcanist plus Morg plus Immolation Aura. But that's a lot of combo pieces.
But I think most of the other options are a lot of you die.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yes, every other option is you die. It's the only way that he'll be able to survive through to the next turn. And then there's not much even damage left that Trunks has to piece together in order to find a win.
Yeah, it's massively favoured for Trunks from this point onwards. He's got to the point of the game where, like I was saying at the start, the snowball is rolling down the hill now. Every single thing you do just makes your guys bigger and bigger and bigger, and makes it harder for the Demon Hunter to... Yeah, he's just had enough of that nonsense. He's started to rogue.
Yeah, so
doing it.
He actually used up the Talented Arcanist buff on Philosophy. So that was a clear. I'm pretty sure it was a clear, right? Because he just needs to go Philosophy first, then Talented Arcanist, then Moarg. But he actually used up the Philosophy, or the Talented Arcanist buff on Philosophy. It doesn't matter if the spell deals damage or not, right? It's the next spell you cast has more spell damage. So just missequenced it there. Actually, might have even had a chance to win that game, I think, right? Because if I understand it correctly, the Talented Arcanist plus 3 spell damage, and then it gets doubled, so it'll be a 4 damage initially on the, or no, 2 damage, and then it would deal 6, and then maybe it's not.
It kills the Moarg, but it still doubles both.
It still doubles the damage.
Both. Yeah. It depends on which spell, because some of them it does and some of it doesn't, right? But yeah, the way the Arcanist works is it does buff, and the buff does stay on both parts, no matter what happens to the Moarg. But the Moarg doesn't double the second part of the spell.
Yeah, so just mis-sequenced it. He still needed to pick up Fellscream Blast, and he would have only had 1 Moarg plus the Il'gynoth and then 1 Fellscream Blast, so it wouldn't have been that much damage, but maybe could have bought himself like 2 more turns, be able to skull, find additional combo pieces, some additional spell damage, and maybe been able to find a kill down the line if Trunks had run out of damage, or he was able to find healing like with the Draki Warblades equipped. So a little bit rough of a game. It felt like he was so undecided on each of his turns. He wanted to get greedy with the Immolation Aura, and then, ended up going with kind of this halfway clear where he took 5 damage. And at the end, just having the right idea of what he wanted to do, but using up the buff on the Philosophy after he played the Talented Arcanist. So it just didn't work out. Now Trunks is going to move to Aggro Paladin, Buff Paladin, whatever you want to call it. He's got some spicy text in there with a Vectis in the Paladin, which is just all in on the buff strategy. It's just to make the minions as sticky as possible. You're playing pretty much all things with Death Rattle and or Divine Shield. In the case of Nerubian Egg, Murgle, and I guess he doesn't have any Goody 2 shields, but has Talon Forging, Vectis, Alexstrasza. It's a pretty interesting list when you look down at it, because it's kind of the hybrid with secrets, but it does present this kind of sticky board challenge for
and it is a challenge.
OTK Demon Hunter.
Demon Hunter hates this. This simple trick of putting loads and loads of buffing, attacking nonsense in your deck. Demon Hunters hate this. But one way you can get into it sometimes is if you can Arcanist your a removal, a Fellscream or an Aura, and clear a board. Sometimes the second board doesn't turn up for a little while. Maybe you get to I-beam down at 1 minion, and then you get to Skull, and then you actually sometimes win because the Paladin sometimes runs out of cards. But like you say, this particular version, Trunks has extra stickiness.
Yeah, this hand just gets there, Neil. Oh, boy. Double Hand of Adal at first day of school start, and the Sword of the Fallen with no secrets in the opening hand. I mean, everything in this hand is so powerful, I don't even know how to spend my mana. It's like I just wish I had more mana every single turn. He's debating about whether or not to like coin out another 1-drop in case this one is dealt with, which it looks like it will be with a Hero Power plus an I-Beam, which is why Misael Hero Pod it last turn, because he didn't want to I-Beam it preemptively, just in case Hand of Adal wasn't there. He didn't want to use the I-Beam when there wasn't a threat, and does take some damage for it, but I don't think it's that big of a deal.
One of the big deals is at the risk of sounding sarcastic, is he no longer has an I-Beam, which is, because this matchup is so horrible for the Demon Hunter, you sometimes have to sneakily win with one of your other win methods, and the I-Beam is one of those. So Trunks kind of lured the I-Beam out rather than getting some AoE used, and that could be a problem later on.
Very well could be. It's actually a surprisingly difficult turn. My instinct says just play minions. But Sword of the Fallen, with double Sword of the Fallen in hand and no secrets in hand, you kind of want to start pulling the secrets out of your deck so you're less likely to draw on. So I like presenting a minion while also getting Sword of the Fallen on, because next turn he can just start going off and Misael just whipping cards out of his hand.
But you do want to get the
too.
Yogg into play going into the turn 6 of the Demon Hunter to stop the Skull. That's but he's got no way of really making that happen right now, so just going with normal human being strategy of making stuff happen.
She's going to equip the second Sword of the Fallen. The next turn go Hand of Adal Conviction, plus whatever, and keep attacking with the Sword of the Fallen. I actually don't mind that. It like kind of consolidates the minions. So you're not hero powering because you don't want Conviction to go on a possible hero power. Hand of Adal works as well. It's just you kind of want to have one more attack of the Sword of the Fallen before you Hand of Adal, just in case you draw a secret. But this lets him push 2 more damage. And over the long run, that could be a big deal since, I mean, honestly, this game, once Trunks starts rolling with these more powerful buffs, this game's going to end quite quickly.
This is also kind of funny because this is forcing action, whereas if he didn't play another minion, it might not have done. Which means that Vectus is now going to be a little bit, significantly better because he's forced Misao to kill one of these 2 good Death Rattle minions.
Vectus. Yeah. So he doesn't really want to play Immolation Aura here. He just wants to test for Oh my god. But it's not Oh my god, and now that egg is huge.
Yeah, and if you kill it, it goes down by 1 attack. Great.
Time grows short.
What a card.
Yeah.
And everyone.
If you kill it, you unlock the Vectus.
That's a really bad TV game show. Unlock the
I honestly
Vectus.
I honestly think you don't even want to play Vectus at this stage. Just because you don't want another McGurgle Prime in your deck, because that's the only Death Rattle minion that's died so far.
Now he tries to set up the Yogg, going into the Skull turn.
Yep. It's not even Outcast.
He doesn't know
maybe
that.
You just maybe just rip Skull anyway, and if you don't hit, if it's Oh my god, I mean it's a 6-mana spell, right? You could still hit like Nourish.
There's a lot of good card draw actually from 6 mana. I seem to remember from the Lunacy Mage days all the way back when. That was a thing. You wanted your 6 drops to draw you cards.
Oh!
Oof.
That's actually not even bad. That's actually pretty good. Took a good amount of power off the board, got rid of the Death Rattle.
Yeah, I guess. He's still in there.
Quite well.
Time grows short.
Paladin hasn't killed you. You haven't got too low on health, and the Skull's on the left. You've made significant progress.
May the light grant you peace.
But again, because Trunks has this recurring deck. Yeah. Can you do that one more time? That's a great noise. Thank you. Appreciate that. But I don't think Mizhel's going to appreciate it because he is... I don't want to say he's dead, but I don't see how he gets out of not winning this game.
Yeah, so there is only one Avenge, so that's why he didn't attack first before drawing the Holy Spell. And it must be Reckoning that he has up. So Mishal could just rip the Skull and hope that it's Galloping Savior and Reckoning. And then maybe if he hits Il'gynoth this turn, right, with the discount, nope, no chance.
Runic Carvings, would that have helped him with a Yogg? That was an option.
Sure.
Yeah.
Depends which one it casts. If you just get a bunch of 2/2s, now you're dead. And Mishal is dead here with the Conviction plus Underlight Angling Rod. Actually, just with the Conviction is enough. So that's it. Trunks takes the series 3-1. Moves up to 7-1 score, joining the large amount of Chinese players that are performing incredibly well at this Masters Tour, despite it being a terrible time zone for them. And look, that's when they're at their best, right? I remember that the tournament, the seasonal championship, when we had Chinese players compete, that the Chinese players performed the worst was the one that was in China.
Oh yeah, you went all the way out there for that one. Yeah, I remember that. That was a couple of 2017 maybe. Yeah, 2018.
I think it's 2017 or 2018. I want to lean towards 2018. But yeah, there was 4 Chinese players, 4 from each region. 3 of them 0-2'd in their groups, who were eliminated on day 1. And the third 1-2'd their group, lost in the decider. So the best position was 9th through 12th out of the Chinese players in a 16-player tournament. And that was in China. So they thrive when it's in the middle of the night. And it's a terrible time zone. Prime gaming hours.
Exactly. Gaming time is very, very different to normal time, I suspect, a lot of the time, especially for sort of pro gamers who like to put in the hours. They quite often like to do it at a peaceful time in their environment. They don't want noise outside or in their house or whatever. So playing through the night is, for a lot of good gamers, not for everybody, of course, is just a time that people game. But they're looking to make it 3 Chinese Masters Tour wins in a row, which 2 or 3 years ago we might have scoffed at, but now no scoffing. Please stop winning.
Well, when you have 100,000 players in Legend, a couple of them are bound to be good at Masters Tours, right?
Seems good. How many legends in Americas?
A couple hundred. right now, it's the first of the month, maybe 10.
And they're all in this tournament. So apart from, I think Language Hacker may have got rank 1, but yeah, I don't think anyone else is playing.
Yeah.
Here.
It's
trying to win
pretty
$50 to go first in the money order.
There you go. But we actually do have some round 8 coverage still to go as we wrap up things in this second to last round. It looks like we're going to head into some action of Silvors versus Melody, a couple of other players that are at the top of the standings that we were able to tune in on throughout the round. And there they are. We're going to jump into the series with a 2-2 score line. So we're going to be able to watch Game Number 5, the conclusion of the series. Silvor is the player who we've seen quite often. I even remember him back in having deep runs in playoffs, back when we had the playoffs system. And having some really creative play is what I remember from him, and some crazy games. And now performing well at a Masters Tour here in a very competitive region of Europe.
I just want to check that. I think he's from Ukraine, but I could be wrong on that. But I think he's in that group of Eastern European players who regularly do well in sort of the Battle Rift circuit and those sort of tournaments, regularly putting in good results. And Melody, this is courtesy of Ranlit from Twitter. Has been in the Chinese playoffs since like 2018, and his battle tag used to be, get this, you're going to enjoy this, the head of Cube Lock Association.
Cool.
I don't know how you fit that into a battle tag, but that's what he used to be going by. So Melody has definitely been around for some time and likes Cube Lock, presumably.
Yeah, a Cube Lock connoisseur. I can appreciate it. It was one of my favorite decks of all time, especially after the balance changes. I think it was very cool. But I wonder how it would fare this day and age with how much power we have in Hearthstone. Maybe not this close after rotation, since it does seem like there's some lists that are a little bit unrefined. But yeah, I was looking at Silvor, you're right, he is from Ukraine. He's actually had quite a solid win rate in Masters Tours, just hasn't competed in that many, or had a couple that weren't. In Seoul went 8-4, in Bucharest went 6-3, and in Jönköping went 7-2.
This is his 9th Masters Tour.
Okay, well then the other ones he did terrible. So forget that. In a couple Masters Tours, he did reasonably well. Let's just leave it at that.
He's running over 50% in a company of the best players in the world. So, let's. Yeah. And J4U, who I believe they all play together, did incredibly well in one of the tournaments recently as well, or 2 of the tournaments. So I think a lot of people will be rooting for Silvors here, but a lot of people will also be rooting for Melody. Chance for another Chinese winner, and he is playing a version of Priest that I I rather like here, actually, with the top end, not messing around with too many Ogremancers, but this double Mage Scribe build is something I hadn't seen before this weekend, I've got to admit. But I really like how it puts together in the tournament environment where your priest is being left up, because your opponent's probably trying to hit you quite hard.
Yes. I like the priest players that are going more for like these tempo strategies, not going for like all-in heal with Xyrella, Desperate Prayer, but really going for all the 2-drops you can play, playing Venomous Scorpid, playing Mancrick, playing the Ogremmancer as well. You can really just kind of flood the board and use your removal as ways to just keep yourself on the board. I think that's so important in a lot of matchups in the current metagame. This being one of them, right? Against Rogue, if you can stop some of the early aggression, it allows you to dodge the ability for them to burst you out in the late game. And Silvers is playing the secret variation, obviously. We saw the deck list, and you can see the Spark Joy cheat in the opening hand there. And a secret picked up. Look at that.
And a Lucia picked up. And interestingly, Xyrella thrown away in the opening hand, which is the highest win rate mulligan card in Priest in general terms against a random opponent.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Well, you don't buy throwing it, or you don't buy keeping it?
I don't buy keeping it.
Mm-hmm. There's not a lot to kill in Secret Road, to be fair, early on. And most of the things that there is to kill, you can kill with your minions or your bits and pieces in your deck. So that's a fair point.
Also, there's a lot more to that story, right? You have to be running a little bit more heal, I think, in order to make full use of Xyrella, like Desperate Prayers, things like that. You could take some damage early on, then just Desperate Prayer Xyrella to clear the board. But in this kind of priest list, you're trying to play for tempo. You're trying to have the board going into turn 4, and then you don't even have the health to heal in order to make Xyrella really worth it. So it does play out the Sethic Veil Weaver. Has another one in hand. Not really anything else to do. Can Holy Smite it, but does he want to give over Dirty Tricks yet, or just play out Mancrick? The problem with Mancrick is the secret spread's pretty even. There's 2 Dirty Tricks, 2 Ambush, and 1 Bamboozle. So it's just as likely to be one or the other. And now we'll see that it's not Dirty Tricks because he went with Palm Raiding first and can feel free to just Holy Smite this down and keep that setting alive.
Yeah, that seems pretty tasty to me.
Yes.
I think a mistake that people make with Priest early on is trying to get too much value from Sethex. Just get the bits of value it'll let you have. Don't mess up and not get any, but just take what it offers, get a bit of value, and a bit of value adds up so much. Whereas you've got a deck full of value already. You don't need to draw 27 cards off your Sethex, unless you're playing Miracle Priest, but that's a totally different discussion.
Yeah, and then they all get free with the Bloodweaver.
Question here is, do you want to... what do you want to do with this Shadow Step is the plan for this turn. There's a lot of available things you can do with it, including bouncing Kazakus or bouncing the Golem. That's why there was a...
Could also do some weird things with Tenwu. You can get the 0-mana Tenwu back in hand, which lets you combo with Alexstrasza on 10.
And that's how you... when you do get the win against the Priest, it usually comes about by snowballing some Kazakusi minions and maybe a Jandis, getting the Priest so they can't heal into the high 20s, and then 24ing them with Tenwu and Alex. And that sounds like a lot to do because you get a Luciad along the way a lot of the time. But that's usually the route to success, I find, is the road.
Don't let the door hit you.
One of the downsides of not playing into the secrets early is you open up the risk of Blackjack Stunner. I don't think Melody's too concerned about this because it does mean that Silvers is not developing onto the board. Dodges the possibility of a Golem for a turn. Golem not that great. You can see being mouse over, draw 2 cards. I don't know the other effect, but It's one of the weaker options. Usually you want some type of tempo, whether it's rush or summon a copy or deal 3 damage to 2 minions, just to try and take back control of the board. Whereas the Golem that draw 2 cards is if you're already ahead and just need more resources to stay ahead. But I'd still would almost always prefer the other options.
Yeah, it's very hard with Secret Rogue to generate a board if you whiff on your Jandis and your Kazakus. But one thing you can do is get all the way through your deck really quickly by playing this card, Hanar, and just meaning that your opponent has to clear rubbish up every turn for like 3 turns while you're drawing cards. This is just a stalling tactic most of the time for the Rogue, but it works really well. This garbage.
Looks like Pack Tactics was picked up, and the Bamboozle. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That is going to be a value hand. I never really liked this strategy against Priest, just because I want them to have to remove things. Mind Render with a 0 mana Shadow Jewel or Hanar in hand, knowing that there's a secret as well. It's not the best. Usually you want to just dump the Hanar at the end and not play the secrets. But he knows, well, only 3 mana available, not 4 mana, so I won't be able to dump the Golem, but there's not really anything else he has going on in his hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason I think he's thinking of doing it now. The longer this goes, the more chance he has of picking up a real card that Silvers could actually use against him. Whereas in the current situation, to be fair, his hand is pretty rubbish. So he's going to use the Raised Dead so that Silvers can't get back any of his good cards that he wants to use. He's quite happy to have Silvers have the opportunity to actually cast the spell. And yeah, he's just going to dump what he can. He's going to get lucky because he's going to get to dump the Tenwu, which kind of ends the game. It doesn't end the game immediately, but it makes it so easy for the Priest to play the rest of the game.
I never lie, but I never tell the truth.
He's going to actually get to Tenwu the Mind Render here, right? And then just get his hand back.
No, it says to go for Revenge, but then he gives a secret over. So just wanted to dump the cheap stuff and get the Avenge for himself. Not terrible. Leaves Silvers with not the greatest hand, to be honest. Greater Golem will draw 2 cards. Freezing Trap, at least Melody will know that it's there because he's the one that chose it and knows that a Tenwu's in hand. So one of the other benefits of Elucia is that you get all this information. And Silvers has some things to dump, but like Mankirk puts it into Melody's deck.
Yeah. I'm looking at this again. I would have Tenwu'd at the end there on my own Mind Render and played it again. And then you've just dumped 3 of Silvers' cards for no downside. And got rid of his kill.
Yeah, and then he just wouldn't have played the secret instead?
Yeah, sure.
You have a card that he didn't.
Who cares? You've got an Avenge.
4 mana. He wouldn't have been able to do that, right? He would have had to leave the Wicked Stab in hand then, because he had 4 mana once he swapped. 0 mana Hanar. Oh no, he could have done it. Yeah, he could have done it.
Yeah, I think it'd have been nice. But
no,
I'm scared of Tenwu's. I think that they're the main way you beat the Priest, but Melody's seeing it differently. He is playing a more tempo variant as well, so maybe I'm not factoring that in correctly.
What knowledge do the stars provide?
There's Zarella. That's some value. Not clearing off everything, but clearing off enough to where he can feel quite safe with a pretty powerful hand to follow things up. Shadow Death, if Silvers plays the Golem, he knows that that's there, so he doesn't want to just play it, give up his whole turn. Yes, he was drawing 2 cards, but... Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Guardian Animals, no. Rally, maybe. Just for board. But Lightning Bloom, because you get another copy, you could have 4 extra mana. As long as the spell burst is kept intact. but you'd want to hold on to that until you had things to utilize that mana with. So it's just going to be rallied. There's not really another choice when you think about it. And gets 2 of them. Has had Sethix die. Blackjack
didn't die. It got borrowed.
Yeah, it got stolen onto the other side. It's Sethix. Blackjack Stunner. Was there any 3s?
Not that I
Lost the
remember.
ambush token.
Sparkjoy. Did he have a Sparkjoy? I think he did.
Yeah, he did have a Sparkjoy cheat.
So it's an okay thing, but
it's decent. But the board, I think, is a little bit too out of control right now.
And so much of the sting has gone out of his threats. That's when you're the priest and you know that the threats are kind of low. It just enables you to do so much more. You don't have to repeatedly clear every single minion. You can let a minion stay up if you need to at some point. So I think Melody is well in control here. Chance to go to 7-1. We've talked about a lot of Chinese players on 7-1, 8-0. That's another player that could get there.
Not what I want.
It's not over yet, but it does look pretty grim.
Yeah, something I have learned about this meta is a lot of the games look over and say 90% of the time you could call it quite easy. Just occasionally these monstrous comeback turns in the right if things are drawn in the right order. So yeah, got to be careful on that.
Sonar will just die because Freezing Trap in the hand is full. But that's fine. It's a 1-3 that's silence. It's not doing anything. Then could trade over and then renew and try and find like Desperate Prayer. I don't know. Just to keep the health on the Orgrimmancer high. You'd get the if you don't find a spell to dump, at least you get to choose a Discover spell and give up a card in your deck, which I don't think is that big of a deal because Melody definitely has enough to win. Has proactive things to do as well as reactive things to do with minions, Auspicious Spirits, and then on the other side, Hysteria and Condemn. It seems like everything's there. He's still at 30 health.
Yep. He's killed off one of the Shadow Steps. I'm not sure if the other one was actually cast, but he did kill one with his Elusius. So dragon combos are very thin on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And he got rid of a stab, so just OTK or close to OTK damage from the rogue seems unlikely. I think Melody needs to just concentrate on getting a little bit of heal together just in case, and he's got plenty of ways to generate heal, and then I think he's done here. Jandis,
What makes
save Silvers.
Looking for Rustwicks. Dealing Forging is actually not that great in this situation because Silver's hand on the other side is essentially full, and if he's going to want Thief as well, he's going to put another card in hand.
Rustwicks, by the way, is how you beat bad ladder players with Priest when you're playing Soul Mirror. The bad Warlock plays the Rustwicks and you Soul Mirror into it, and then you just try to hit it desperately for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it's the only way that I envision Silver's winning this. Loses Insight, not the biggest of deals. Excuse me, Silver's hand wasn't full. He still has one more space, so not the biggest.
And there's no Soul Mirror this time either, so it definitely would have been a good thing to hit.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think there's enough stuff that can get removed here, though. The Condemn removes most of the board on its own.
Yeah. He just needed to kill something, right? He just needed to reduce its health. And then gets to play Mankrik and then pretty much do whatever he wants. Actually, Auspicious Spirits may be better because it is corrupted.
Yeah, I got the impression that was deliberately played slightly weirdly to actually dump the hand slightly. 7 drops are kind of bad, by the way. I mean, they're not... Okay, I lied.
Okay. There's Tenwu and Alex in hand, and Silvers can use Prize Plunder to activate the Octobot, and then
So
Blackjack
many
Center at the end on the Stormwatcher.
Yeah, that gets
like
rid of
that.
that. Yeah. Yeah, Stormwatcher's gone for the game if you bounce it. Nobody's going to mess around playing that again.
Oh, he's just going to use the Tenwu and go full tempo.
Come, friend.
Ah.
Let's see what you
I think the hope you have for winning this game with Mind Render gone is through just straight up burst damage. It would have gotten pretty wide as well, would have isolated the Malagos, but now putting the Malagos back in hand, trying to force actually Melody to not have any minions on board, and maybe that's how he wins the game.
Yeah, the clear last turn was sort of convoluted. Maybe Silver senses that he can have a chance of sticking a wide board against the odds, looking at what the priest has got, but last turn, there's a lot of sort of fiddling around to kill a very similar board to this. Maybe he feels there's not any fiddle left now. And he'd be kind of right. Okay, well, the board's no longer menacing.
I mean, I don't think it was particularly menacing to begin with.
No time.
Well, okay, it's even less unmenacing, more unmenacing than it was before. So unmenacing, in fact, that he can just spend 7 mana to plonk an 8/8 onto the board.
Yeah. Just keeps getting to re-roll. Counter spell.
Cone of Cold?
Yeah, Cone of Cold is probably better because you know that Melody's probably got some cheap spells to dump, and you just need to kind of push as much damage as possible. Ambush, there's no space on the board, so it won't activate, but Silvers is just trying to get there with the little bit of damage that he has left. Let's have Alex Straza. I know, whoa.
It's easy to say it's 5 damage.
damage.
When it's somebody else's health points, oh yeah, but when it's your own 5 health points, TJ, you'd be crying. Okay, no you wouldn't, but you know. 5 damage. And next turn it might be 7 damage.
That's a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
Just looking for some type of wide board sweep here. Condemn anything.
None of the above.
Yeah. Just chuck that on something.
You can wave just to take away how much damage does it actually save you? 3. Wave heals you for 3
Yeah.
and allows you to heal your face for 2 with the remaining mana. So it's kind of 5 health. It's just telling you how much 5 was. It's a lot. Yeah, just gonna throw it on something. Okay, you win this round, sir.
I mean, there's really not much good stuff left for Silvers. He's got a randomly generated mage spell, which might be the scariest thing that's left.
That's actually a really good point, because if that's mask, this is a very good time to buff a minion on the board.
Yeah, but I felt like there was enough health on the board. Like the difference between it having 3 health and 8 health when you have 10 health already on board. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe he clears more.
Sufficient is sufficient.
Okay, secret passaging is what's even left?
I'm out of
I don't know. I feel like we should know, but Mancrick and the second stab. Okay.
Yeah. So you play the Mancrick. Oh no, you don't play the Mancrick because then your board's full.
You trade one of your 1/2s into something then, right?
Melody. Wave of apathy and ignore it. Oh! He used the powered fortitude last turn!
I told you that was wrong. I have no idea. 21. He knows exactly what he's facing, which is 3 from the enraged Mancrick.
But how?
8 from Alex. These aren't all in the same turn. That's 11. There's a stab. So 17 is kind of the magic number. So does that mean he has to kill the Octos? He doesn't want to do that.
It's actually got really awkward.
Yes.
Well, you can get rid of 3 damage by just keeping the board full.
Baron.
Adventure and excitement to wait.
Baron Geddon would have been an absolute mess there because of the
How did he-
Octos. It would have actually probably
he-
lost it the game.
How did he get in this situation? I mean, what is happening?
I don't know. I don't know what Melody is
Why did he?
allowed.
Why did he? I mean, I guess there's a lot of taunts at 7, right?
But there's Baron. Like, the Octos would have all triggered in a situation where the one thing you don't want to do is have your opponent hit you for all of their cards next turn.
The board's full. He didn't draw Man Crick, though. Wait. He can trade in one of the 1/2s. Oh, no, he can't do that.
It's a good job this 7-drop has 4 attack, by the way. Some of them don't, I think. Because trading in the Octos and reducing the cost of everything here would get terrifying really quickly.
I get
Yeah. It's just, he can't clear the board, right? And he's at 6 health. So, a weird ending to that game, but it really was just all about that tempo in the mid game and Melody just having resource after resource, even with kind of an awkward hand at the end. Still, because of big minions, was just able to get the job done. So Melody going to take the series 3-2, move up to a 7-1 score. Silver's going down to 6-2, which there's a possibility, right? Started off 6-1, so not many 7-2 players make it, but if his tiebreakers are good, there's a chance.
And 7 points is also worth having. It's a decent number of points. You get nothing for 6-3, you get 7 for 7-2. So it's a very big break point if he can win his last round. But Melody's got that done. Obviously, the points don't mean anything to Melody because Melody will play in the Chinese scene for most of the year. But the 7-1 for Melody should put him pretty close to the top 16. Again, we can't guarantee anything on tiebreakers, so I'm not going to commit to that. But he'll be in a good spot. He's been up there throughout the entire tournament in the top half.
Yeah, for sure. And again, the Chinese players just continuing to